I'm Jonah Comstock, editor-in-chief of pharmaphorum. I'm here in San Francisco for JP Morgan Week. I'm joined by Adam Pearson, the Chief Strategy Officer at Astellas. And we're just going to talk a little bit about what Astellas is up to, what your 2026 looks like.
Okay, great. Thanks. Glad to be here.
So tell me a little bit, what are you kind of highlighting in your presentations at the show, and what are you highlighting in your meetings?
So yeah, we're really pleased to be here. We come into the meeting with a lot of momentum. We've had a great year, 2025, and we're expecting to complete our financial year ending March. We forecast around 2 trillion yen, which is about $14 billion sales, which is a really nice, strong growth. It's the highest sales we've ever had, and an improving margin. And our sales growth is driven by both our largest product, Xtandi, but also 5 strategic brands that have been growing rapidly and expanding globally. And we also, this year is a really pivotal year for us because we expect to decide on proof of concept for our 4 lead assets and start to take them hopefully into late stage trials. One of those has read out on 2 different indications in cancer, one in non-small cell lung cancer and the other pancreatic, positively, and then the others we're hoping for in the next 2 or 3 months. There's another one's in targeting Claudin 18.2 in GI cancers, and then we have one in ophthalmology, retina for geographic atrophy, a cell therapy, and one in Pompe disease in NAV gene therapy.
Wow, so you're spanning across several modalities here.
We are, and this has been part of our R&D strategy for several years. And over time, it's obviously evolved as we've had successes or things have not been successful. We're now focused in 4 we call them primary focuses in R&D: immuno-oncology, targeted protein degradation, blindness and regeneration, and in genetic regulation, which is focused around neuromuscular and CNS diseases.
So what are what are some of the trends you're seeing or hearing about? It's day 3 of the show. I think there was a lot of optimism going into this JPM. There haven't been a lot of deals announced, but there's a lot of interesting news around AI. Well, what have you been seeing?
Well, as you say, I think there's more optimism and in terms of investors putting money back into biotech and providing funding to companies, and more confidence you see in stock markets. I think the economic environment feels a bit more benign, and that, for an industry like biotech, that's a big driver. We're seeing, I think, overall, there's confidence returning to the whole sector. That doesn't necessarily translate immediately into kind of big headline deals. And of course, the challenge from the buyer perspective, where we might want to acquire or invest in companies or assets, is we still need to see the value, and we still need to be convinced of the science, plus the commercial opportunity, and being able to manage the risk. And so, valuations and funding coming into biotechs might not make it easier for deals to get done. But at the same time, I know for the pharma industry in general, there's a lot of interest in bringing that innovation in, and so the demand will stay. I think it's fairly consistent with last year. There's interest in bringing innovation into the pharma sector from biotech, and we're just looking for the right deals. That's what I kind of hear from all our colleagues as well.
You're coming in off this really strong sales year, so you have some money to spend, I assume. Are you also are any of those kind of strategic performers close to LOE, or are you kind of in a...
Yeah, we do. So our biggest product, Xtandi, which is for prostate cancer, is getting close to LOE. It's obviously something we've known for a very long time, and the launch of our 5 strategic brands and the work we've been doing on our pipeline is there to address that. It's great actually seeing how well Xtandi though is doing. We've been releasing data on some early sort of different patient segments, and the product continues to grow because it's making a difference to more patients. So we're very proud of it, and it'll reach that LOE, and then we'll continue, but with the growth of our other products.
Um, you mentioned you have a gene therapy. That's been somewhat troubled space for some companies this year. How are you feeling about the prospects of your drug, but also gene therapy more broadly right now?
Yeah, it's clearly a challenging area. It's because it's novel, because it's so innovative. There are challenges, and we've faced challenges in our development. We'll see how our POC, proof of concept, reads out. So I can't anticipate that, and we'll have to look at the data. But in general, we're confident in the technology. I mean, we've already seen in trials that this really makes a dramatic transformational difference to patients with very, very serious diseases. And I know a number of other companies are seeing the same. There's still a strong space, and we've heard from lots of companies here who are bringing products through development at the moment. So it's probably a longer game, and many other technologies have gone through this phase, and then had failures and had some less success initially, and then worked their way through. So we're a very persistent company. We look at the long term, and we hope that we'll bring that through
Yeah.
in due course.
It feels like there's so many modalities now just like waiting to poke through, right? Like with
Yeah.
RLTs and uh, T-cell engagers and things like psychedelics in neuro. I mean, it really feels like we're on several precipices, right?
Yeah.
How do you kind of make sure that your purview is large enough to kind of encompass anything that might be the next big thing?
Yeah, I think our R&D strategy, we call it the focus area strategy, has been to try and identify particular biologies that we think are going to make a difference, to diseases, and then understand which modalities best work with those. And that process, was started a number of years ago and helped us. We through that process broadened what we were looking at and getting that broader purview. And then as we learned more and experimented, we then focused down. We still have, as you've mentioned, several different modalities, and we're looking at several different biological mechanisms and targets and so on. But over time, each company will deepen their expertise in that area, and then you hopefully see products coming out of that. And over time, there's a balance between focusing down and narrowing your focus, and then bringing products to market, and then broadening again. So our research teams are also looking more broadly at the same time. But we have to manage the balance because of the risk and the cost associated with the expansion phase.
One more question, a big one. How are you thinking about the kind of externalities of like U.S. policy uncertainties, the tariffs, most favored nations, that sort of
Yeah.
thing? Is that affecting as strategy officer, your
Yeah.
strategy right now?
We're obviously thinking very carefully about it, trying to understand how that will evolve. As a global company that's been around for a while, we're used to ups and downs and changes in policy, and we try to understand them, try to adapt, and this is no different. From a US perspective, we have very strong investment in the US with not only a commercial presence but also manufacturing sites. We also use a number of CMOs in the US to manufacture our products. So, probably about 70% of our products are manufactured that are sold in the US are manufactured here. We have R&D facilities, really significant R&D facilities. So, in terms of thinking about America's more industrial interests, we're a very strong investor in the US, and that will continue. We're confident that if we need to, we can have a dialogue about value and innovation. I think what's important for us is that patients are able to access our products and have ideally anything to lower the copay for the cost to them is important. but at the same time, innovation needs to be valued, and it doesn't. All of the amazing R&D work and the challenges that we've been discussing around developing these wonderful new medicines, it takes a lot of investment. So the prices have to reflect the value of innovation that's being created, and that's the discussion we want to continue and promote with the government.
Great. Any final thoughts?
Well, we're really excited to see the energy here at JP Morgan. There's so much innovation happening, and as a company, we're proud of where we are, continuing to drive growth in our marketed, in our strategic products on the market, and excited to see the proof of concepts coming through for our pipeline. Later this year, we'll be releasing our corporate strategic plan for the next 5 years. It's something in Japanese companies, we have a corporate strategic plan that kind of lays out the future, and that will give more clarity as to our direction. So I'd love to talk to you about that again if you're interested.
Absolutely. That's good.
Okay.
Thanks, Adam.
Thanks very much.